Hey, what is up YouTube? It's Terrence and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be doing an animation that you just saw inside of Blender and Davinci Resolve. I got this file right here off shutterstock.com, so I can't share this file unfortunately. We can get free vectors from freepix.com and a few other sites over the internet, or you can make your own art. I'm an illustrator right now and the goal is to make the art riggable. If I should select this piece of the arm right here and move it out of the way, you can see that we still have this really long piece of arm right here. So in Blender, if we were to rotate the arm, then we'd still have that long piece, and that obviously wouldn't look too good. So we're gonna have to come in here and edit the pieces that it can work for animation. You typically want to have it rounded wherever the joints intersect. You got to go through the artwork, ensure all the joints are rounded, and ensure that you have all the pieces separated that you want to use in the animation. And you can export them as SVG or PNG files. I know I'm using Illustrator here, which is a paid application, but this can be done in free tools like Inkscape. Once you have everything exported like you see here, it's time to get it all into Blender. I have all the pieces that I need, and I also have the full artwork of the girl here for a reference. Okay, so here we are in Blender. First, I'm going to delete that light. I'm going to leave the camera. I don't have a default cube. We're going to go down here to image, and we're going to import images as planes. We're going to browse to where we have our images saved, which is right here. I'm going to select everything by hitting A. Over here under material type, I'm going to hit shadeless. I'm going to hit import. I'm going to go to material preview. We can see all the images that we have right here. So first, I'm going to take this one of the girl right here, the entire artwork. So move it here, scale everything up, get something a little bit bigger. I'm going to move over to the shading tab real quick. I'm going to copy this mix shader, place it right here. I'm also going to plug the transparent into here. I'm just going to mess with the factor until it's a little bit transparent. Let's go back to layout, and now we can start placing all the items where they're supposed to be. And a quick way that you can get this done is to come to options right here, turn on origins, and just place this at an edge that's recognizable. Turn this off. I'm gonna move this leg like right here. I'm just gonna hit scale, S for scale. Up here under filters, I'm gonna turn on this selection filter, turn that off. That way we can select this art. I'm gonna turn on origins, select the drink. I'm gonna move this right here. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna do it for everything. Now we can start moving things into place. So all I gotta do is come here, I line this up, and I hit scale, and it scales from that point. All our artwork is in place. These things actually are going to be used in Resolve, so I'm going to delete these real quick. And I'm going to select the original art right here. I'm going to add it to its own collection. All this hidden. Okay. We're going to turn this collection off. And we need to place this art in Z space as well. X as it is currently. So the hair is going to be at the back. These right here are going to be to the front. This is going to be of that, and I'm going to grab the hand. I'm going to put the hand all the way out to the front and push the watermelon back to the back a little bit because it's not going to be at the front. Now you don't want them all on the same plane. This is going to create some issues that you can see here when they're clipping through each other. So now we have all the pieces at different points in space. We go back to the front view. Everything looks the way that it should. We can start preparing everything for animation. Now we're gonna go about rigging this a few different ways. We want the hair to deform, so we're gonna have to give it more geometry because this is just a flat plane currently. I'm gonna hit Shift H to hide everything else. I'm gonna hit Tab, hit K for the knife tool, and I'm gonna make some small cuts right here around the hair. Enter. I'm gonna go hit 3 for faces. I'm gonna select these extra faces. I'm gonna hit delete faces. Hit 1 so I can see the vertices. I'm gonna hit K. I'm just gonna cut some quads. We're gonna have 4 sides. Now I can hit Control R. I can run like 3 loop cuts through everything. Then I can select everything, right click, hit subdivide, and we got some geometry here for the hair. Hit Alt H so I can see everything again. I grab the torso right here, hit Shift H. And just like before, I'm gonna cut things out first. Here, I'm not so concerned about some of it having quads. Not gonna be quads everything, unfortunately. Hit subdivide twice, and I think that is fine for the torso. Hit Alt H. Now it's time to start creating the bones. I'm gonna go to front view. I'm gonna turn off the grid. You can see everything. I'm gonna hit Shift A, and we're gonna add armature, single bone. Under the armature properties, I'm gonna come down here to viewport display. I'm gonna select B bone for the display. Also gonna select in front so the bone always shows in front. I'm gonna move the bone up. It's our first bone. Let's scale that down. I'm gonna hit edit mode. E to extrude. Extrude a bone right here. Another one right here. One right here. The start of the neck. One there for the neck. And then a bone for the head. I'm gonna extrude this bone right here. Alt P. Disconnect the bone. We move around. You can see the relationship line. It's still a child of that main bone, but it's disconnected. I'll rotate it here. It's gonna be the bones for the hair. Here, just extrude like that. Let's go from the neck right here. I'm gonna Shift D to duplicate that bone. I'm gonna grab this with G, move it down here, extrude a bone right here, and one like that. Duplicate, place it right here. Grab this, bring it down here, extrude here. That's that. Now down here, I'm gonna duplicate this bone, put it right here. E to extrude down here, and another bone right there. Duplicate this bone. Move that right here. Extrude it down, and extrude that down. I'm gonna select both these bones. Select the tailbone and hit Control P. Gonna make parent, keep offset. Now this bone, we should go into pose mode. Just Control Tab for pose mode. We rotate this bone. This is the root. It controls everything. We should rotate this guy right here. It controls the arms. This right here is the parent of the hair. So the head will control the hair. The neck controls both the head and the hair. Now these bones work as FK bones. You can rotate them independently and they just follow along the chain. I'm gonna make these IK bones. So what I'm gonna do is let's select everything, Alt R, Alt G, put them back in their original place. I'm gonna go into edit mode. I'm gonna select this bone right here. I'm gonna hit extrude, extrude that out. I'm just gonna select the bone, Control Shift Alt S, scale it up a little bit, make it a bit thicker. And right here, I'm gonna select this bone. I'm gonna hit extrude, extrude that twice. I'm gonna hit extrude right here. I'm also gonna make this thicker. So Control Shift Alt S, scale it up. I'm gonna hit Alt P, a clear parent. So this bone, it can now go wherever you want to place it. Just gonna move it out right here. This bone right here, Alt P, just the same. We're gonna clear parent. So it's now disconnected from the rest of the chain. Now, if we rotate these, the other bones, they don't follow. And that's because these are gonna be controls. Now to make these official FK bones, you're gonna select this bone in pose mode. We're gonna select the arm right here. We're gonna hit Shift I. We're gonna add an IK. Now if we move this around, you can see it moves, well, the entire rig. This is not what we want. So we're gonna select this bone, come here to bone constraints. So you can see the constraint that it added. Here where it says chain length, we're gonna set that to 2. So it only goes 2 bones up. Now if we move this around, you can see it's only affecting the arm. It's more of what we wanted. We still got one issue though. If we rotate the control bone, it doesn't rotate the hand. We're gonna go back in edit mode, select the hand, select the control bone. We're gonna hit Control P, make parent with keep offset. Go back in pose mode. We can now move this around and we can rotate the arm. But that creates one more issue. If we move the bone, it's gonna disconnect the hand from the arm. So to fix this, I'm gonna select the arm, come here to bone constraint. We're gonna do a copy location. I'm gonna select the armature. And here we're gonna turn on the bone name. So we're gonna come here to the properties, names. Ideally, you wanna name all these bones, but I am being lazy. Go back to bone constraints here. And the bone we're gonna be copying the location of is bone 14. So Scroll down to 14 right here. You can see now the hand is attached to the elbow, and that's the head. So we're gonna slide this down here to place it at the tail. So now we can move it around and we can rotate, but it won't disconnect the hand from the arm. It's the exact same process for the rest of the body. There's also one more issue that needs fixing. You can see the hand that goes this way, but if we go like this, it goes the opposite way. You're only going to want the hand to go in one direction. And that is what this bone 25 is for. We're going to select bone 14 again. Where it says pole target, we're going to use the dropper, select the armature, and then we're going to select bone 25 as our pole angle. Now you can see it moves very weird. Not what we were looking for. Let's select the bone here and make the pole angle 90 degrees. It's usually going to be 90 or negative 90 degrees. So now the arm only goes in this direction. If it passes the bone, then it goes the opposite way. We can move this all the way out here. It only goes in that direction. We put it down here, then it only goes in this direction. Alt G, Alt R, just to put everything back in its original position. Then I'm going to be doing the same thing for the rest of the bones. Extrude it out. Control Shift Alt S, scale it up. Control P, parent, keep offset. Go to pose mode, bone constraints, copy location, select the armature, bone 22, place it at the tail. Then this bone, Shift I, IK to active bone, chain length, that's 2. And this bone cannot move, it's only rotating. That's because it's not disconnected. So we're gonna hit Alt P, I'm gonna clear the parent. All these things might seem just a little bit frustrating right now, but trust me, it's gonna be really easy once you get the hang of it. You don't have to do this kind of rigging for every character. You're gonna have some videos where you just need someone waving, so you might just need to rig an arm or something like that. For the next step, I'm gonna rig the hair. So I'm gonna select this bone right here. Let's go to edit mode, select the tip, extrude it out, just like that. Control Shift Alt S. I'm gonna scale this bone up a little bit. Alt P, clear the parent, go to pose mode, select this bone, hit Shift I, then IK. Let's move this a little bit, see what it controls. We're gonna go up the chain. There you go, now we have that chain. This can control the hair. But this leaves one issue. We should go here and grab the neck bone and rotate the neck, or we rotate the head. You can see the hair stays in place. We're gonna go to edit mode. We're gonna select this bone, then shift select the head bone. We're gonna hit Control E, parent with keep offset. So now back in pose mode, if we should rotate the neck or we rotate the head, and the hair follows along, but still we can grab this control bone and control the hair. So now I say this entire thing is fully rigged and ready to go. We're gonna hit Alt G, Alt R. We're gonna select everything except the watermelon. We're gonna hit Shift and unselect the armature, then select it again. We're gonna hit Control P, and we're gonna parent with empty groups. Now the bone and the mesh is pretty much connected, but if we go in pose mode and we try to move any of the bones, then nothing happens. So let's have the bones affect the mesh. Select the leg right here, go into edit mode, ensure that everything is selected, hitting A. We're gonna come down here to the data. We want this to be controlled by bone 18. We're gonna expand this, select bone 18, assign. Now if we go here, pose mode, we can see bone 18 is moving the leg. Let's hide the watermelon for now. Go back to object mode. I'm going to select this, everything selected. This is going to be bone 19. So I'm going to come bone 19, assign, select this, everything, bone 20, assign. If you're having trouble finding a bone, you can hit the drop down right here. You can type the bone's name. Assign this to 15. We're going to assign this to bone 17. Select the drink. We're going to assign it to bone 17 as well. I can't see the name of the head bones. We're going to go into pose mode, select the head, F2. Let's name it head. Select everything here, the head bone, assign. Now for the torso and the hair, remember these are going to be deformed by multiple bones. Let's select the armature, shift select the torso. I'm going to hit Control Tab and I'm going to go to weight paint. You can't see anything yet, but let's hit Z and go to wireframe. I'm going to hold the Alt key and click this bone right here. We can adjust the weight, set to 1 currently, that is fine. I'm going to start painting on these vertices. I'm going to select bone 1, paint right here in the bone 1 region. You can always hit R to rotate and see how it works. Let's do bone 2 right here, that region, bone 3, all the way up to the neck, just a bit. Right here at the neck, we're going to just have it affect everything right there at the neck. So now that affects the neck. This bone affects this part of the chest right here. This bone affects this area. This affects this area. And this just rotates everything. So we're gonna go back to object mode. I'm gonna select the armature again. Select the hair. Shift tab, weight paint. Select this bone right here. Just grab the top part of the hair like that. Let's select this bone right here. Paint. It's gonna go through, just paint the region that's close to that bone. It's gonna affect just the tip and up this part right here. Holding Alt and clicking, we can grab the control bone. Let's hit Z, go back to material preview, and you can see just how it affects the hair. Perfect. Notice the knee here looks a little bit weird. Like you can see that it kind of poking out. To fix this, I'm gonna hit A, Alt G, Alt R, reset everything. I'm gonna go to object mode, select this, select the foot, tab into edit mode, select everything, and I'm just gonna move it up just a little bit. And that foot now looks a whole lot better. Let's test this one. Now this bone looks a little bit weird at the elbow. Let's fix this one as well. Select the center of the bone right here. I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Let's go back to pose mode. Now that looks a whole lot better. I can live with that. Our foot here is being a little bit weird. It's just how it is sometimes. Gotta make a few small changes here and there. I'll do Alt Z so you can see through the bones and see where they are. I grab all these bones. I'm gonna move these down a little bit like that. And our character here is rigged and ready for animation. We can save our rig. Now, before I start animating, here are a few things that I usually do that kind of fix some of the annoying issues. As you can see here, some of the things that are in front are not showing up in front like they should be. And if I switch my renderer to EV, I go to rendered mode, nothing changes. Now, if I switch over to cycles, then we can see a drastic change. Things that are in front are now showing up in front the way that they should be. But you notice that the viewport is a little bit more laggy. That is because you may have denoising turned on. So I want to turn denoising off, and then you'll have a smoother viewport. But also you might want to turn your samples down to 1 in the viewport, and you can render at say 30 or 40 samples. That's usually a good sweet spot for 2D animation. So now you have a fairly fast viewport. I'm gonna go back to pose mode here. I'm gonna select all of these joints that are not control joints. Control Shift Alt S. It's gonna scale these down a little bit more. Now it's time to finally begin animating. I'm gonna go into pose mode, select all my joints. I'm gonna place a keyframe, turn on auto key, and I'm gonna start animating. Okay, now we got some animation that's not awful, something that we can work with. Remember to turn off auto key if you don't want to mess up your animation. Before you render, you might notice that things look a little bit washed out here versus how they looked in the original applications. What you want to do is come here to the render settings and scroll down to where you see color management, and you want to set the view transformation to standard. If you don't want to do it right here, you can set this back to filmic. And here on the output settings, you do override and set the view to standard. Whichever works best, either works. We're gonna go back to the render settings here. We're gonna scroll down to film. We're gonna hit transparent. That way we have transparent backgrounds. And now we're gonna set up our camera before we can export. Go to the camera view, you can see that it's up here. we're gonna lock the camera to the view. We're gonna position it right here in the center. You can see that things look a little bit weird, and that is because we have a perspective camera. Let's go to object mode. We're gonna come here, select our camera, select the camera here under the settings. Here under lens type, select orthographic. And that gives you an orthographic camera. Now the scale, you can change this to zoom the camera in and out, because now you can no longer zoom the camera in and out. You can only pan around. If you try to zoom, you're gonna get some weird stuff going on. Now, since our entire render fits inside just this little area, what I'm gonna do is go here to the render settings, and I'm gonna scale in on the Y till it looks something like this. I'll go back to the camera. I'm gonna increase my orthographic scale. That way I don't have a lot of areas that's being wasted. I'm not gonna render the watermelon, so I wanna turn this off. There we go, that's our animation. Let's render this as a PNG sequence, and we'll meet over in Davinci Resolve. Time to get things moving again. We got our art pieces right here. Go to Blender out, select everything, we'll drag it here on the timeline, and we got our animation right there. We're gonna get these things in as well. Let's delete that though, we're not gonna be using this. We're gonna go to effects. We're gonna add a new fusion composition. Just open fusion. And here we are on the fusion page. I'm gonna switch my workspace layout to mid-flow, vertical. Turn on spline, keyframes. We're gonna bring in our art first so we can see what things look like. I'm gonna bring in the animation. Let's make a transparent background, alpha down to 0. I'm gonna merge this above the background like that. That on viewer 2. Then we're gonna put this just as a reference. Just dim the blend. We're gonna take our render here, bring that down, and we're gonna drop it. I think the placement is decent. Let's add our watermelon. I'm sorry if you hear a kid crying in the background. I have a kid now. So yeah, that's that. Now we can turn this off. Let's make this 3D. By dragging a 3D plane, we're gonna connect this to the plane. And in viewer 1 and viewer 2, see we got this in the 3D view space. This could have all been done in Blender, but I like doing some of these things inside of Fusion. And I'm gonna drag in the trees that we have here. We're gonna get our sun. This is gonna be behind the girl right here. Merge the sun over like this. Let's have a look at our final piece here. We're just gonna shrink the sun down a little bit. About frame 50, we want the sun to be here, the center, and the size keyframe. Go back down like frame 8. Gonna bring this down here. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have it like constantly scale up. So I'm gonna just zoom in right here a little bit. So just put that vertically and see what's going on. Have the scale go up just a bit. I'm gonna select everything, right click and set pre-loop relative. So now it constantly scales in that direction, like that. It's slowly getting bigger. I can just change the size and scales over time. Kinda like that. I like the way that looks. The umbrella, let's throw the umbrella in the mix. Add a transform. Just move the pivot over. The pivot down here. Gonna merge this behind her, even behind the sun. Up a little bit higher. Let's bring these down a little more. Make things look just a little bit neater. All right, shrink the size down. We're gonna move it up here just behind our girl right here. Let's see, let's modify the angle just a little bit. Okay, we're gonna set keyframes on the size and the angle. Animation is looking quite nice. If we go back down to here where we got our 3D object, we have all of this as a 3D object. All right, we have our 3 trees right here. I'm gonna add the image planes to all of these here. another image frame. So we got all 3 trees. We're gonna just merge everything in a 3D scene. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna drop a 3D merge. We're gonna connect everything to that 3D merge. Now if you view it, we got everything right here. Let's put down a camera right here. And then we're gonna put down a render 3D. Go back to the merge. Camera here, we can bring this back. We can now see everything on the camera. Let's grab one of the trees. Now we're gonna select our camera. Let's decrease our focal length here a little bit. Maybe we should increase it. Yeah, let's increase the focal length. We're gonna grab the girl 3D layer here. We're gonna move this back. It's kind of try and make a composition here. Now if we select our camera, we can do like a push in animation like that. Let's move this back some more. There we go. I got our camera. Okay, this is where the 3rd tree is gonna come in handy. So let's grab this, bring it down. Okay, so let's go to frame 0 right here, and we're gonna place our camera. At this point, we're gonna set a Z keyframe. We're gonna go like about a second in, frame 24, 25, and we're gonna push in like that. Here we got the keyframes. Smooth it out, ease it, maybe 70 each. So just like before, we're gonna grab this and just do small animation like that. Select both keyframes, right click, set loop, relative. So now once the animation ends, it continues pushing in, but that is obviously way too far. So I'm gonna just grab this, just push it up until, yeah, I think that's fine. You can see that a bit of her little ribbon thing here is being cut off. So what we're gonna do is, it's gonna take this, transform, we can put that in viewer 1 so we can see what it looks like. And that is our issue right there. It cuts off at the top before it goes into the 3D node. So just gotta shrink the size on this a little bit. There we go. All right, so now nothing is being cut off. The camera pushes in, and then it continues going in until it ends. Now let's do a RAM preview. Gonna hold the Alt key, drag this to the viewer, turn off high quality. Let's make it a 1/3 the size. Hit render. Hit Q so we don't see the controls. Hit loop, play. I think when she's leaning back right here. I think that's when the animations should end. So let's grab the camera right here. Gonna grab the last 2 keyframes. Just gonna slide that forward. So the trees are finishing right about here. And just grab this, and this time we're gonna hold Shift and Alt and drag it in. This uses our last settings and does the render again. Camera animation, it's not the smoothest thing I've ever seen. That's because this right here, hold the Alt key. Yeah, let's try and smooth it out a little bit, and then let's make this part. Yeah, it's gonna mess it up if I try that. Let's try and make this line go straight after it's done. Have it smooth out the animation just a bit. So kind of like that. So now it doesn't have that rigid bump at the end. There we go. It goes into a smooth animation. So instead of coming down and then stopping and then continuing, it just comes down and goes smooth. And now I'm gonna go get an image that I can use as the background. I'll be right back.
Eventually.
I got this free grunge texture from victeasy.com. It's not even the highest resolution, well, the PNG at least. What we're gonna do is merge this over a background. So we're gonna hit a background right here. we want it above the background. So merge, Control T, so we can switch it around, expand it. We're gonna add some film grain to it. So add film grain, that's a bit too much. Drop the complexity, drop the size, and we're gonna drop the strength a little bit. Let's make this background white. And then we're gonna turn the blend down on this. Put our background over here, and we're gonna throw on another 3D plane. We're gonna connect this to the merge. And now in our 3D scene, we also have this beautiful background. Let's go where the camera is zoomed out the furthest. We're gonna grab our background. Just gonna slide it back. All right, then we know we can change. Let's increase the size so it covers the entire screen. So vignette right here, add a vignette node. And I'm gonna put this behind the noise because I want the vignette to have the noise as well. I think I like how this looks. Let's throw on a drop shadow. I don't know how I feel about this. Do I like it? I think I kind of do. And I'm gonna be adding noise in post, so I'm gonna be turning the film grain down even a bit more. So kind of like that. Connect this to our media out. There we go. Let's go back to the edit page where you can go render cache, set it to smart. Let's go over to the color page where we're gonna make some more magic happen. We're gonna do some quick color grading. Just gonna add a bit of blue to the shadows. Let's punch up the orange tones a bit, give it some more saturation. Also gonna add some contrast to it and bring down the highlights. I want to go for this like old paper kind of look, but I'm gonna go over to effects, and this is new in Resolve 19. I'm gonna type film and drag on the film look creator. Here is where some magic is gonna happen. I turn the color blend down. I think I like it without too much of the color blend. See, contrast, let's turn that up a little. Highlights, I like that how it is. Vignette, let's add even more vignette to it, give it an even older look. Halation, this is a pretty interesting setting. We should turn this up. You're gonna see the edges get more red and gives us like a old film look. I'm gonna turn this up. And flicker, maybe just a little bit of flicker, not a whole lot. And the grain, let's set this to 35 millimeters. I like the way that looks. I'm gonna hit Shift S, add a node before this. I'm gonna come here to sharpness. I'm gonna crank the sharpness, the radius down to like 48. I'm gonna come here and crank the scaling up to say 30, just to add some more sharpness to this, because the film look is gonna make it just a little bit softer. And then we can turn on the film gate, something kind of like that. We're gonna add another node here, and we're gonna blur. It's gonna blur this like a fair bit. But what I'm gonna do is also go here to the power window and grab this box. We're gonna come here and hit invert. And let's change the size of this thing. That way the edges kind of get blurred a little bit more, so that the film box itself gets a little blur. I'm gonna add the film look creator here as well. Let's turn down the color blend. I'm gonna turn everything off except the halation. I'm gonna just crank that up and crank up the radius. So if we turn this off, you can see before, after. I like the way that looks. Hey, this is pretty dope. I like the way this turned out. Okay, let's add one more node. For this one, we're just gonna come here, add a point. We're gonna lift this up to kind of crush the blacks just a little bit. Let's turn on the handles. And then that is our final animation. There you go, created in Blender and Davinci Resolve. Let's set this thing to play over and over again. We got the arm kind of flicking here a little bit. We go back and fix that in Blender, but nah, I'm okay with this.
Later that same evening.
This brings us to the end of another cool video by your boy Terrence. I hope you liked this one. Please give the video a like. subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the next video. You can shout out to me on Reddit. Also, a little personal plug for me here. I started a Patreon a few months ago, but I didn't put it out there because I didn't think that I was posting often enough. I want to ramp things up, and things have been going a little bit better recently. So I'm hoping to eventually make tutorials on this channel full time. So let's see how that goes. Well, that's it for this video. Give me a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon if you'd like to give me some support. And I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your boy Terrence, and I'm out. Peace.